everyone expects for you to come into church just droopy and
A
sad and
depressed person is a sad
yeah,
person.
like we're blue. Like,
Hmm.
no, I'll do my makeup in the morning and get ready and put my high heels on, even though they pinch my toes, and I'll come into church with a bright smile, and I'll be the most depressed person in that sanctuary. I promise you.
In today's episode, we're gonna meet Janet. She's gonna share an incredible story of how she went through a depression and she came out on the other side, praising God, loving God, and the life that God is giving her right now. So, welcome to Tea Talk. Janet, welcome to Tea Talks. I am so excited that you accepted coming here.
I'm excited too.
We met not too long ago. We go
Mhm.
to, well, sometimes I go to your church because I go around different churches all the time. But I met you and I was so excited with your energy and your vibe. So I thought you would be a great guest here.
Thank you.
And I think everyone will love to hear a little bit more about your story. So, you want to share who you are? Who's Janet?
I am Janet Ombaso. I'm a Kenyan. I was born in Kenya. I'm the oldest of three. I have a little baby girl. Her name is Mara. She's 3 years old. And that's Janet.
That's Janet.
She's a Wonder Woman.
Okay,
She's
okay,
holds many titles.
okay. What is something that most people would not know about you?
Most people wouldn't know that I'm actually down to earth shy. I'm so shy.
I would not know that.
I think it's only the Holy Spirit. It's an energy that comes with me when I have to, when I don't want to say have to, but like when I give that energy of just like being there and having that presence, it's not me. I really can say it's barely me. Most times I'm just like I'd rather sit in the corner and
Got it.
like be my own self, but most people would be like, "Oh yeah, you want someone to do public speaking or whatever? Call Janet. You want someone to stand in front of the stage? Call Janet." But like deep down inside I'm like, "Please don't call on me."
Yeah, I would never expect that because when I met you, you were saying hi to everybody. You were like, you were being so nice and welcoming. So, not that a shy person is not welcoming, but like
Mhm.
it felt like you're outgoing,
Yeah. Like that's
So,
always the vibe.
exactly, that's what I thought it was. Do you have like interest, hobbies, or like a passion, something that you really enjoy?
Well, I'm a licensed esthetician,
Okay.
so everything's skin. That's something that I'm very passionate about. Um, but mostly I'm more of an artist. I like
Okay.
to paint and draw and write, journal, go on hikes. I'm a naturalist. I like to go out there and hike. I used to go, and that was something that I really fell in love with, and that's just
I would
me.
love to
It's
see your
stuck
art
with
one
me.
day.
Thank you.
Yes.
Come soon.
So, when I contacted you and I said, "Hey, I would love to do a podcast with you," one of the topics that you said you wanted to talk about it was mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And you seem to be open about that, and I think that's probably why you suggested that.
Yeah.
I would love to hear your journey with this issue.
I would say in the beginning, when I graduated high school, it was very hard for me to be open with what I was struggling with.
Mhm.
So I was going through depression
Okay.
and anxiety and all these different things as brand new graduate.
Mhm.
I felt very disappointed in myself. Like I saw all my friends graduating and they were going into college and they were, they had boom, boom, boom. They had all these lists and they were checking it off. And I had these lists too. And I got out of high school and I was just like, there was nothing for me. There wasn't really anything and it dug me really deep into this ditch where I just was burying myself with my feelings instead of talking about it. I was just like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then eventually it came to the point where I wasn't fine anymore. I had to admit myself into a behavioral health center, everyone was like, everyone around me was shocked. Like, I thought Janet was this picture perfect girl, like, you know, she's the greatest.
She looks very happy.
Yeah, she's very happy. She volunteers and everything in church. She does everything. She steps up and she does her makeup every Sabbath, and she you know, she does whatever. But that one day, I can't even remember what it was that broke me down. It must have been something so minuscule that, since I can't remember it, but it broke me down, and I was like, I need help.
Just to understand a little more before you continue, did you get depressed because I didn't understand that part, because you didn't feel like there was anything for you? But why was not anything for you as far as after you left high school? Because you didn't feel like you can choose the career where you want to go? Or was the opposite, the fact that you didn't find anything because you were depressed?
I think the former. It was more so that I figured, giving my background, and my parents are very traditional in Kenyan culture and all of this, like, they came here to give me a better life. They came here to, you know, excel my career and finances and whatnot. I think that what I wanted to pursue really downed on me, and
That was not a possibility.
yeah, it was not a possibility, and I was trying to pursue what would be best for them. And, you know, they say that you can't excel in anything that you don't love. Like, if your heart's not in it, you can't.
So you get a little bit lost between, I really want to do this, but I can't.
Yeah.
What my parents wants me to do, it's not exactly my passion. So that what kind of like drove you to end up becoming depressed. Okay, so continue with your story. So you ended up admitting yourself. How was that experience?
That was, honestly, okay, so I graduated. I admitted myself in the last 2 years. So I'm 25.
Okay.
I graduated, obviously, when I was 18. So I went a good almost.
Oh, so it was a good period.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, today I'm good. You know, it was a very long period where I was trying to figure out myself and trying to figure out what I wanted to do for myself. And then it just reached the point, like, a little bit after I had my daughter, is where I felt the most of a disappointment, considering the circumstances of me just, you know, like, being a single mom.
That,
you know, like, it's so taboo, and my parents are very high figure in the community. So this is during COVID and everything, and it was cute in COVID because we were secluded in our own little circle. But then after COVID, everyone started coming and asking those, like, side questions that, like, where's the dad, basically.
Yes.
And I was like, it drove, like, I put the armor on, and I was like, it's none of your business. Why are you asking me that? Like, because it is none of your business, but it digs deep in the heart.
Yeah,
so
we pretend that we're fine on the outside, and usually we give answers that people think, oh, she's fine, she doesn't even care,
she's so tough. And no,
but that's not what is actually happening.
And
inside.
It wasn't even me, because honestly, at first it didn't bother me. Like, yeah, ask me all these questions you want, you're not going to get the answer. But then I saw how it affected my parents.
Yes,
because they were like, they didn't even know the answer. Like, I was so withholding so much information, like, to myself, that they didn't even know the answer. So I saw what affected on them, and then that projected onto me, especially with being the oldest. I feel like I've always been holding everyone else's emotions,
and they expect more from the oldest.
Yeah. So I just felt like a downright failure, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, if this is my day to go, I'll go. I'm so tired. I'm so sick and tired of being held to everyone else's expectations. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. It's exhausting. It's so exhausting, and I'm tired. I just want to lay down and not wake up. And that was my thought for, like, a long, long time. And then I was like, you know what?
So you were having, like, maybe not suicidal thoughts, but maybe I didn't want to live anymore.
Yeah. Not, yes, yes. Not necessarily like,
I'm gonna kill myself.
but more so if it's your will and I don't wake up tomorrow, I'll be okay with that. And but and this is all, it all happens for a reason, because all of a sudden my daughter would sleep in her bed every night, all night. And then as soon as I started having those thoughts, she was like, no way, I want to sleep with mommy.
Wow, she
And
started
she would,
feeling it.
yeah, she would sleep. To this day, she still sleeps with me. And when she started sleeping with me, and it wasn't like sleeping with me like sleeping in the corner, like she was sleeping with me like
holding on to you.
Yeah, like nose in the crook of my neck. Like she wanted to sleep with me, and I was like, I was like, I can't lay here with my daughter in my arms and have these thoughts. And you know, what if she is sleeping with me and I have these thoughts and I don't wake up tomorrow? That's not fair to her. It's not fair to my family. It's not fair to my legacy and what I have going on for my life, because I do know a lot of people tell me to humble myself, but I know the value that I have. I know what type of person that I am and the effect that I have on people, but it's exhausting at the end of the day. And I think that's something that you have to admit it. Yeah, you have to admit it.
It just came to a point that it was too much.
It was too much.
This is a topic that for me, it's very deep and it's very personal. I don't know if you were at your church, but I shared my testimony there. And I was a single mom when I was 16 years old. So when I hear a young person going through what you're going through, that cuts me right through it. I understand both sides because now I'm a mom. And I literally panic, of the thought of my daughter getting pregnant, being alone. But it's more in the sense of not, oh, she's a bad word for doing that. That's not it.
No.
But it's the suffering that I know that it goes through with it. And as a parent, we try to protect our children from going through that. So I understand both sides of what your parents must have felt. But it has more to it too, because when we come from a very traditional family and things like that, there is the shame, oh, my daughter got pregnant, which that goes on you. There is the fear of what's going to happen. She's going to suffer, so the parents suffer and you suffer. But it's a lot.
It's a lot.
That I do understand why you got to a point that you're like, I'm just done.
Yeah, because you can't make everybody happy. At the end of the day, like, and that's the truth, even if you do appeal to the tradition or whatever the fact may be and try to make everybody happy and say, oh yeah, this is the father of the child and we're gonna get married and all this stuff, at the end of the day, like, are you like, it's all about you. And it's not even about you, it's about your child,
the child.
So if you're not happy, where do you think all that emotion of frustration?
They feel everything.
They feel it all.
They feel
it all. And I read a lot of mommy books, and most of them said that the first month, the first couple of weeks, the baby doesn't even see the baby as itself. It's still connected to you.
They feel as a continuation of you.
So when they see mommy, they're not like, oh, that's mommy and that's daddy. They're like, that's daddy and this is us. So you cannot sit here and be in denial about postpartum depression and be in denial and try to put a happy face and whatever, because the baby already knows.
They feel it. They feel everything.
They already know, like, mommy, I don't know why you're trying to be fake right now, but I'm crying, you're crying, we cry at night together. So like,
and that's why she went to bed with you and she was holding on to you. Where are you now?
I am in recovery. I am trying my best, and that's all I really can do. All I can do is try. I go to therapy, and I tell everybody, please, 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 please invest in therapy. Invest in therapy. I know for a lot of people, they don't have the privilege of having the Medicaid or, like
the insurance,
to just reach out and you'll figure out the payment later. But therapy is it's humbling, And it's very much it opens your eyes to things that you don't even realize that you've repressed. Because my first couple sessions of therapy, I came in there and I was like, it was almost like I was her therapist. I came in there and I was like, how are you doing? And oh, how's your day going? Like, I'm trying to appeal to her. And she's like, Janet, you're paying me. Like, like what's going on with you? And after a couple sessions,
that is the facade that you have gotten used to put it.
So used to just, hi, how you doing? Like, I'm Barbie. Like, but after like the first 2 sessions, she was like, I know you put on this face that you're so strong and you're fine, but honestly, and this may cut deep, but you're very much entitled. You think that if you repress your emotions enough, that everyone should feel bad for you. But since you don't ask for help,
you're not
how is anyone supposed to feel bad, or how is anybody supposed to help you? So you like that feeling of holding your feelings in, or like, making yourself feel so bad to the point where like you look so, as the same way you look bad inside, the same way you look bad outside. And then that's when people are like, oh, Janet, what's going on? That's what you're waiting for, instead of just saying what you feel. And oh, you know what, I'm not having a good day, I'm not having a good Sabbath, or whatever the fact may be, and that's the truth. You just like to say, I'm good, I'm fine.
Especially, and I see a pattern in children of immigrants, that immigrant parents, I'm the first generation immigrant, we are taught to survive.
Yes.
And the idea of seek mental health, usually, at least in my country, whatever happens in the US, it takes like 20 years for people in my country to follow, Yeah,
like, oh, you're depressed? What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Pray about it.
Go,
whatever.
Go to work.
Right.
You're not working enough. Yeah. So a lot of times is this, even the fact that you're a child of an immigrant, we learn how to survive, and we expect to just survive. Right.
Like it's survival, it's fight or flight. It's not even, and like you said, you're feeling bad, go to work and but they don't understand, like, when you are depressed, like when you sit down and actually describe depression and anxiety and all these other illnesses, it's when you're depressed, you do want to stay in bed all day. Like, it's not a sense of, it's not lazy, it's not,
it's a different kind.
Yes. Like, there's a difference of like laying in bed and you're like, I just don't want to.
And then I have noticed this in a young person that I had close to me, that some people are saying, oh, he's in the room all day long, he's just being lazy. I was like, no, hold it. If he was in the room all day playing video games, sleeping, whatever it is, and then at night he was going out to bars and to doing things, maybe you could question.
Yeah.
But a 20-year-old that is just in the room all day long, all night long, all day long, all night long, that's not it. That's not being lazy. There's something else going on there. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, the difference between, I'm so depressed that I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm just giving an excuse to stay home, And
even the simple things like, oh, you're nasty, you don't want to take a shower, you don't want to brush your teeth. I don't have the energy to do it. I just don't want to.
You lose interest in
everything. Even the only thing that, like, when I was really down bad, that drove me was taking care of my daughter. Feed her lunch, feed her breakfast, like,
Praise
change her
Lord
diaper, do
that.
all of that. But after I did all of that, right back in the bed. Laundry, my laundry, whatever. Her laundry, yes. It may not be folded, but it's clean. It was just like the minuscule things. Like, I knew I had to be a mother. I had to be a mother, because who else was going to do it? But when it came to my own self-care, I was just kind of like, I'll shower next week, or I'll wash my hair another day, or, whatever. I'll do the bare minimum, because I was, even all day long, I was laying in bed in between taking care of Mara, but I was seeking for that sleep at the end. As soon as she went to bed, most moms are like, well, I don't want to say most moms, but the ideal thing is, oh, once my baby goes to bed, then I have time for myself. I can go and take a shower. I can go and do this. No, once she goes to sleep, I go to sleep. It wasn't like a sense of, okay, you know, you haven't taken care of yourself all day. You've been taking care of Mariah. Let's take care of ourselves now. Let me go to sleep so tomorrow I at least have 2% energy just to skim by.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's hard.
How did the church community play the role through all of this that you're going through? Positive, negative?
Both churches, they were just more so like, hi, how you doing? You know? But like when it came to the small things, I think it took me to open up a little bit for them to open up a little bit, because most times Morale would crawl up to the stage and I'm like half asleep in the bleacher. I'm like, oh, my daughter's on the stage. Let me get up there. And some of the moms in the bleachers would be like, relax, it's okay. Like,
that's nice.
And the pastor would just pick up Morale and continue with the sermon and go about his way. I'm like, oh, I like it here. Like,
that is nice. As far as your mental health and support, did you feel that you had any support?
Well, like I said, it's hard. It's hard for me to speak on that point because my mouth has been closed for a long time.
So basically, it's hard for me.
Yeah,
it's help that you could have.
It's hard for me to speak up and say, hey, I need help. Or hey, can you hold the baby real quick and I'll go sleep in the mother's room or something like. It's really hard for me because being the background that I have, being the oldest and, you know, Kenyan and whatnot, it's like I feel like a burden. But I've grown warm to it, and I know that even now I don't have a car, but when I need a ride and people see me fiddling on my phone right before service is closing, they're like, I know you're not calling a Lyft right now because I can take you home. And I'm like, are you sure? They're like, why do you always do this? And I get lectured for not asking for help.
Okay. So you basically, you could have had more support if you had opened up a little more.
Yeah.
What are some misconceptions that you think people have in regarding to depression?
The facade, like everyone expects for you to come into church just droopy and sad.
A depressed person is a sad person.
You know, like we're blue. Like, no, I'll do my makeup in the morning and get ready and put my high heels on, even though they pinch my toes, and I'll come into church with a bright smile, and I'll be the most depressed person in that sanctuary. I promise you. It's the mask, because
got it.
And then also, like I said before, just the honesty, because it's so easy to be like, oh, how are you doing? Everyone says, I'm good. I'm blessed. You know, but if you don't say, and it is vulnerable. It is something that you have to work up to, but you don't have to say, oh, I'm going through this, and yesterday I didn't want to wake up, and but you can just say, hey, I'm going through it, and I would really appreciate if you prayed for me, if you're in the right mind space, because that's key. Because if I'm venting to you and you've been bottling up your emotions as well, that's not healthy. So if you're up to it, I would really love if we go into the other room and just have a little prayer or a little cry. I don't know why that's not normal. I feel like sometimes we should all just cry together just to get that vulnerability out, because it is true. We all have something to cry about.
When you were realize I am depressed and I wanted to get help, was there anything like activities practiced in a daily basis that helped you while you were going through those worst periods?
I stopped working out, and I was like, then it escalated, because I already felt bad when I was working out, and then I stopped working out, and I was like, oh, I can't even do that. And now look at me, I'm getting fat, and I started judging myself, looking in the mirror, oh, you remember when you used to work out and you used to do this, and So working out was one, and eating healthy too, because then I really subjected to, instead of meal prepping and, just taking care of my body in the way that I used to like it. I just was looking for the easy way out. It put me up against that wall. I was like, I don't like who I'm becoming. It's not.
Have these struggles that you went through and probably still going through a little because you said you're still in recovery. How did that shape your relationship with God?
Drastically.
Yes.
Really drastically. I used to have this like almost like a military sense of like, do it this way, like help 1 2 3, like these are the rules and do it like this and da-da. But now my relationship is more open and more when I do my prayers, I honestly, and I'm still working on it, but I don't like to pray in groups. I don't like to be the leader of prayer because my prayers are very much just almost like I'm journaling. I don't go, hey God, da, da. I'm just like, so today it's just a conversation for me, honestly. And I used to hear that a lot when I was younger, and I was like, okay, let me try it, but it didn't really work out. But when I reached that point of before I admitted myself, I was just like, so now what? And that's when I felt like I heard God the loudest. And he was like, why, like, you're asking me now? Why didn't you ask me before? Like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I always thought this was my subconscious. And he was like, no, it's me. Let's talk about it. And we sat there and we had a conversation for a good 2 hours. And then I called the suicide hotline, and they called the ambulance, and then they took me and they admitted me.
It was an encounter with God that pretty much maybe saved your life.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say for a young person that is going through depression right now?
Just, take a deep breath. One thing that really helped me when I was admitted was they took my phone, they took my Apple Watch. They even took the minuscule things like I could only have sweatpants and like, the small things. Really like put yourself in that minimalist mindset. Genuinely like humble yourself and just sit there and think about what you have and what you don't have and weigh it. And I promise you, God will come to you and tell you what you really need to do, especially if you feel like you're not worth it. You wouldn't be here if you weren't supposed to be here. And God does not put us through any type of tribulation that we are not strong enough for. So I definitely do think that it's hard. It's so hard. And I'm young, 25. But I know that like I've had tribulations from as young as we can remember. But with every valley comes a hill. And with every valley, we're like, oh, this is the worst that I've ever been in. And oh, why am I going through this? But then you get through it, right? And then you go through another tribulation and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the worst. This is the worst. But you said the last worst was the worst. So the worst is going to come. The worst is going to come. But you will get through it, and you just have to dig your heels in and keep on keeping on, because there's no way. I refuse to believe that there's the God that I believe in and that I love will put me through something that will just completely shatter me. I refuse that. And the only reason that I'm here to tell my testimony is because that he put me through something that he knew that I would get through and I would fight through and be here to influence anyone else. So
it's in the valleys.
Yes, it's in the valleys.
We find God and he makes us stronger when we get out of the valley.
Yes.
Janet, this was wonderful. Thank you so much for coming here and for being so vulnerable, for opening it up, especially a topic that is so sensitive and difficult. I admire you and your strength and being a mom so young. And
I'm surprised I didn't cry. Everybody clap for Janet.
You did great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Of course.